Where do I even begin? Ooh, baby. It has been a doozy. What if they won't let us in the house? And at this point, I am like crying. I'm like, it's my birthday, like stuck on the side of the road. So it's blizzarding all weekend. But I'm like, okay, I gotta control what I can't control. I have to be in charge of taking care of myself. Okay, Honey is now down and settled. I feel like it's a little baby that I'm dealing with, waiting for her to like take her nap before I can do any of the recording. I have not prepped at all for this episode, both intentionally and unintentionally, but wow, where do I even begin? We have so much to catch up on. First, you may be seeing this with your eyeballs on YouTube, meaning podcast is now video as well. This is like something I've been wanting to do for a while, have a visual component to the podcast. I personally love just actually watching podcasts on YouTube. I love YouTube in general, and I've been just wanting to start a YouTube channel in general, and now we're doing it. The podcast is going up, so if you've been listening, feel free to also check out the video on YouTube. If you're also watching on YouTube, you're probably noticing this bare background behind me, and we're gonna get to my move and everything, but I am in my new office, which is amazing. However, it's full of boxes and just haven't really fully set up the office yet. So in the meantime, we're doing this bare background. However, I do plan on setting up a whole cute little podcast recording corner that'll be all decorated and vibes, aesthetic. And I wish I wasn't so far away from everyone, because I would love to have like 2 chairs for like interviewing guests who come on the podcast. But for now, it's probably just going to be me, which is totally fine. So, quick update on some new exciting announcements. However, let's be real. Like I said, there's so much to catch you all up on, and I feel like this podcast is kind of like my mini diary in a sense, and I feel like you all are my friends and just a spot where I can, I think, get a bit more vulnerable and peel back the curtain a bit more, where if you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen bits and pieces about our move and just everything that's been going on. So I figured this would be nice for a little story time, just like sitting together, catching up as friends. And I'll just catch you up on the past month, really, because, whoo, baby, it has been a doozy. And my intention with sharing all this, because sometimes I feel like I can like vent or complain, and that's not my intention. It's more so just being real and sharing that, even when there are the highlight reel, is being shown, there's a lot more going on behind the scenes, maybe that people are or aren't talking about. And I just think it is always important to be transparent and share the full picture. So let's rewind to February, where I feel like it became a series of unfortunate events. And if you see that series on Netflix, love that series. But I really feel like it kind of just became this chain of things where I like couldn't get my head above water. Meaning, like, I just felt like I was slacking on sleep, which threw off my routines, which threw off like my work schedule. Like, it was just kind of like snowballing, with this big move to Canada also looming over the entire thing. So I now currently live in Vancouver, BC. I live in Canada now, which is a huge change from growing up in the United States my whole life. We've only been here for about 3 weeks now, but a lot of February was prep for this move. So, meaning we were like packing and getting things together, the amount of coordination. Like, I think the last real check-in was Lucas and I visiting Vancouver, like visiting houses, getting everything set up. And from there, it just became a lot of like logistical things with making sure we could get, the house that we wanted, making sure the lease was all set, making sure our utilities were set up, figuring out phone stuff in a different country. Just the list was kind of going on and on. And I was starting to feel like I would try and check one thing off the list and it would add like three other things on it, because with it being an international move, everything was just a bit harder, especially not having Canadian credit. A lot of things we were looking to set up our, renter's insurance or utilities. They wanted you to, put down these big security deposits because you didn't have Canadian credit. And it kind of just became all of these things and like more difficulties with even just certain sites that we were trying to order things on, like having to go to the Canadian one, but sometimes they don't take your like US billing address and card. And like the whole banking thing is honestly really confusing. And you would think places would make it easier to like, accept your money. But also just realizing that like, okay, I can't have my normal Amazon account and I can't have our normal Netflix and Disney Plus and Hulu, and like there's different channels and things in Canada. Just really kind of like shell shocking, a lot of culture things in that aspect. So we were just running into a lot of that. And I felt like it kind of became like from every which way. I don't know if it was being knocked down in a sense, but I think Lucas and I were both feeling, and we'll get like way deeper into this, but this feeling of like, we feel like we can't do anything right. Like, we can't figure this out. Like, why is everything so hard and clunky? And that's like not at all what I was wanting this to be. And I was really trying to like work on my mindset during this, but I was really struggling, to be honest. I feel I can now talk about this kind of like a week and two out from all of these scenarios. But so February is kind of like, okay, prepping. And then we moved February 18th, which is so crazy. So that week was, movers in and out, us trying to deal with like, honey, also, I feel like, when we've had these bigger moves in the past, we've had family and friends around, right? And it became very like stark to realize that, wow, like this is definitely more challenging when you don't have anyone else to help you, whether it be someone help watch the dog or someone help you like pack things up or just help with the dishes or laundry, just anything like that. And so the actual moving day, obviously you're dealing with having to cross the border with a car full of stuff, which went by fine. But we ended up running into all these issues with the bank trying to get checks to pay for our rent. Our landlords, oh my gosh, the angels that they are. It ended up working out, but when I tell you how stressful that day was, where we were feeling like we just couldn't find a way to get our money to our landlords to secure our house to like move in that day, like that was terrifying. Almost feeling like, what if they won't let us in the house? Like, what are we gonna do? The bank was just giving us a really hard time. That's now been resolved and is fine. But that kind of just started like, it was like a catalyst to all these other things. And also, our stuff wasn't going to get delivered until February 28th. So it was about 10 days that were only with the stuff in our car. So the only stuff that we had packed for that time. So again, our landlords were so nice to like give us a little table to use and stuff, but it just kind of like threw me off so much, where I was already coming off of all of the other coordination and things trying to figure out. Then like we're finally here and we're in this like big, beautiful house and the view is absolutely gorgeous, and like the mountains and the water and the city, and like overall what I was feeling was so much inconsistency in terms of there were these really high highs and low lows. And overall, I just felt like my nervous system was already shot. All of my habits and routines were just thrown out the door. Like they were like broke through the glass, and they were like through Canada in Massachusetts. Like they were just not here anymore. And so I'm knowing that, but I also couldn't even like get myself to do the things because I was feeling like so scattered and just trying to just get grounded and like, okay, we're here now. And I'm sure if you've had like a big move like this, you can definitely relate, where there were just times I was kind of just like walking around the house aimlessly, or like I'd wake up in the morning and just like, where do I go? Like, what do, like, where's all my stuff? Like, it's just so disorienting. And so then we get to the point where I want to say this was maybe last week. Yeah, like beginning of last week. And the series of unfortunate events kept occurring. And what I mean by this is all of a sudden there's a blizzard, which is totally fine. I won't say we were like ill prepared because we weren't really, but there's a blizzard. Like truly was not expecting that much snow, which again, totally fine. And then my birthday. I think actually the snow started on my birthday. Yeah. So my birthday was on a Wednesday. And I had this great idea that I wanted to go buy myself some plants for the house. I was running some errands. I was so excited that I could take some of my birthday off from work. I was already like, I worked a little bit more than I wanted to. And like Lucas had an appointment that day that didn't like turn out great. And just meaning like we couldn't get the a card that we needed or something. Again, one of those like insurance things that just is so difficult. But so my birthday kind of started like that, and I wanted to go get these plants. And so I'm driving, and again, already driving in a new place that you've never driven in before. I'm sure so many people can relate to me on this, where you're just like, I don't know where I'm going. Like, again, I'm in a different country. Not like things are like very different, in terms of like driving in Canada, but I'm in a different country. I'm driving around. I don't know where I'm going. And then all of a sudden, the car like stops accelerating. Like I'm pushing down on the gas and it's just not going. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, I'm kind of freaking out. This has never happened in the car before. I'm by myself because Lucas is at home dealing with what was happening during that time. I think he was there. Oh, I forgot a whole other part of it. He was there with the Wi-Fi guys trying to set up our Wi-Fi because our Wi-Fi wasn't working for 5 days, literally for no reason. So our phones at that point, we didn't have our SIM cards yet. And so our data was being like eaten up in like 2 hours. Like it was just like our data was just being eaten up. We didn't have any Wi-Fi. I was trying to get my work done. I couldn't get my work done at home. So we had to keep going to coffee shops, or I was going to the library. So all these other things, like that whole Wi-Fi thing was honestly like really annoying and frustrating that week as well. So he was dealing with the people coming to the house, setting up the Wi-Fi. And they ended up fixing it. But so I'm by myself in the car's not accelerating. And so I like pull over, I like check everything out in the car. There's no light on in the car. Like there's nothing wrong. I'm looking all over the car. I'm like, is there something wrong with the tire? Like I can't figure it out. So I call Lucas and he's like, okay, like I think you should, come home. At this point, I'm like 20 minutes away from home. And when I'm driving, like, and the ground is flat, it's not that bad. If I'm going downhill, it's fine. It just like, it would like stutter a bit and like wouldn't accelerate. So I'm like, oh my goodness, okay. On my way home, and if you've never been to Vancouver before, especially where we live in West Vancouver, it's pretty hilly, like you're going up a mountain. And I am on this highway, main strip, and we get to an incline and cars just like not going. So at this point, I have my hazards on. I'm going like 20 miles an hour, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, I can't believe that. Like I pull off to an exit, just trying to get off the highway. And at this point, I am like crying. I'm like, it's my birthday. Like, I'm like stuck on the side of the road. And so also trying to figure out, okay, can we call AAA to get it towed? I'm thinking he needs to go to like the repair shop. And so I'm trying to figure out AAA. And for some reason, both of our AAAs, both Lucas's and I's, were expired. I'm like, are you kidding? I know our AAA was expired. So I was like calling different AAAs and I'm figuring this out. And I'm like starting to cry on the phone because I'm just like, at this point, I'm like, so much has gone on. I'm like, are you kidding me? I can't believe this is happening. I'm also thinking like, oh my God, what if something is wrong with the car? I have to spend all this money to get it fixed. Like all these thoughts just like flowing in your head. And so what we end up doing, because AAA wasn't an option, is having to get it towed. So I spend like $110 getting my car towed to a repair shop, which is okay, fine, whatever. Like I clearly, like it wasn't working to get myself home. Go to this repair shop and they're like, yeah, nothing's wrong with it. Like it's driving completely fine for us. I'm like, are you sure? Like I swear, like this is happening. And they're like, you know what? Like it's pretty heavy traffic right now. We'll keep it overnight. We'll take it on some hills tomorrow morning to double check. I'm like, okay, cool. Thank you so much. While this is going on, Lucas had reservations for us for my birthday. And he's like, I don't think we're gonna be able to like make the reservation anymore. Like I have to like move things around. So now I'm feeling like awful and I'm so bummed and I'm just trying to like rush to like get home and also are having to take all these lifts. And I'm also just like, oh, this is such like wasted money too, right? That like I'm having to spend on all these things. And so take a lift, get back home, and he was able to like move the reservations, which was great. We ended up having like a good end night of my birthday. We went out to dinner on top of the Vancouver Lookout, and we went to fly over Canada, which was really, really cool. It's kind of like a little amusement park ride, so check it out if you're ever here. But we did that for my birthday, and that was so much fun. I feel like, again, that was like a high, you know, in a sense of, okay, like I'm gonna try and get over this. But I was so teary. Like I was so teary that whole day. I was also like a couple of days away from getting my period also, so I was just emotional and just bummed. Like it was my birthday. It's not what I wanted to happen. So fast forward just like a couple days. At this point, we're still without our stuff, and this is when the blizzard comes into play. So it's blizzarding all weekend. And then Monday morning, we wake up and I'm like, it's kind of cold in here. like it's kind of cold. Like I know it's normally like a little chilly, you know, when you first wake up, but I'm like, it's kind of cold. So I look at the thermostat and it's like 55 degrees, or maybe 52 degrees, I think. I'm like, okay, this is weird. You know, we're still trying to figure out the house and like, you know, the thermostat, but our landlords just told us they like just got a new furnace. So we're like, okay, we check everything to make sure it's like not us, right? Like, and at this point it's like cold, like it is snowing outside, it is cold. And we're checking everything, the furnace, the making sure the gas is like all set. And so we're like in touch with our landlord, and again, they were like so great about it, got people out there, but ended turning up to be this whole thing of like, we're waiting for these people to come and they are like trying to figure out what's going on. I think it was maybe like an hour that they were like here trying to figure it out. It ended up just being like a wire came loose and like the thermostat wasn't talking to the furnace. But we were like, okay, cool, thank God. So then that ended up getting resolved. But that was like a half day Monday, like dealing with that. And then, again, it's like, I'm not trying to like complain or vent. I'm just, hopefully this is like entertaining storytelling for you all. So then, Tuesday night, we go to bed. We had like honestly a great night that night. We were like, our stuff's getting delivered tomorrow. No, wait, I think our stuff got delivered that day. That's what it was. So the next day, Tuesday, it's still blizzarding at this point, mind you. Tuesday, our stuff gets delivered, which I couldn't even believe they came and delivered our stuff. But basically all of Tuesday was guys coming in and out, bringing our boxes in from the truck. and like trying to work while this is going on, but Lucas was able to like facilitate it all. We were happy that like our stuff got delivered. That again was like a high point. So our stuff was here, and when I tell you there were boxes all over the house, I'm telling you there were boxes all over the house. So, which is fine. We knew we were gonna have to like unpack and do all that. That was last week. From there, I was like, okay, things need to change. Like, I need to just get myself back in a better place, because I was really starting to get into like victim mentality and like complaining, and like, again, why do all these things keep happening? Why does everything feel so hard? Why is nothing working? I keep feeling like I can't do anything right. And I was just spiraling with like those thoughts, and it just affecting like so many other things. So from there, I feel like Lucas and I kind of just had like a lot of conversations with each other of like, you know what, we can't let these experiences or a few people dampen or ruin our experience or steal my peace. Like, I am not going to let a couple people or a few bad days take away from my experience living in this beautiful house, living in this beautiful place, establishing like this new incredible life that we want to build together. And once I kind of got to that point, I was like, okay, I really need to start taking care of myself, because I felt like everything I was doing was just flying out the door, and really just coming back to like, okay, let's meal plan. Like, let's make sure we're making our meals at home, and really getting into a workout routine. I'm so happy to say I've worked out 2 days in a row now, Monday, Tuesday, when I literally, when I tell you I hadn't worked out in like over a month. Yep. And that is so unlike me. And just trying to like go and do walks and like explore the area. And we did so much like unpacking and getting our house set up, and we're still kind of doing that, but just trying to like get back to quote unquote like normal. And I was saying this to people too, where I was like, I just want life to be like boring again. And like what I mean by that is just like not these like extreme scenarios, right? Of like really amazing moments of like moving to the new beautiful place, and like really low moments of like all these like just terrible things kind of happening. And just so many things that were feeling out of my control. I'm like, okay, I gotta control what I can't control. I have to be in charge of taking care of myself, taking care of my mindset, waking up each morning, feeling grateful, and like just doing my best. And with this, we're gonna get into like a little business marketing stuff, because another big part of this was me just feeling so sick and tired of dealing with my own crap. And what I mean by this is, I, for so long, have been wanting to film the podcast, have been wanting to just do so much more in terms of my own marketing, my own content creation, and just feeling like so many things were like sucking my energy and capacity and ability to show up, paired with me also just feeling like I was waiting for these perfect conditions to do that. Like, oh, once I move and have this all set up, then I'll be able to take the content, I want to take. Or once my time opens up, and once like my mindset is better, then I will, create the content. And just giving myself these conditions for what I needed to create, when like, let's be honest, there's never going to be perfect conditions. Like, it's never going to exist. Like, there's always going to be things that happen, and that's life, and we're just navigating that. So for me, I was like, isn't it crazy we spend so much of our lives, like spend the majority of our lives dealing with self-sabotage and holding our own selves back, and trying to just deal with our own mental blocks and limiting beliefs, and just, there's definitely a whole other side of different, trauma that's stored in your body, and like, other things that we are working through for sure. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I just feel like I am also self-sabotaging. Like, I'm just struggling. Like, yes, I was dealing with like stress and anxiety and like all those other things, but at the same time, just holding myself back and just like, you know what? I am done. Like, I'm done doing this. Like, because doing that drained me so much of my energy. And I'm at the point now where I'm like, okay, we're just gonna like set the goals, make the plans, and like make it happen. Like, we're gonna take the action, we're gonna create the content, we're gonna do the marketing that you wanna do, because everything else that you want is like from that, like it stems off of that. So that's like this big new phase I'm kind of in now where I'm like, all right, phase one was getting settled into the house. Phase two is immersion phase. So what that means is like we're getting immersed into like our normal routines, habits, behaviors. We're like immersing ourselves in this new place of like finding new restaurants, coffees, like trying to like make friends or just get established. And I know these things are going to take time. Like, I've been through it before, like moving to Seattle. And so I kind of know what to expect, which is nice. But I'm like, all right, we just got to make this happen. Just got to make this happen. So, I told you it was a lot. I warned you that it was a lot. So I think we've been here for, oh my gosh, has it been 3 weeks, 3.5? I can't even remember, but we're doing better. Thank you for listening to that whole story. We are doing a lot better. And again, just still trying to like unpack all our stuff, get all settled in. But I thought it was important to bring this all up and like share the behind the scenes and pull back the curtain, because it hasn't been easy. There have been challenges, but we've also gotten through it. And also realizing like leaning on people in a community for support and knowing that like you're doing the best you can with what you have, and that it's okay to have bad days and like to struggle and like to give yourself some grace and time to like get through those things. And also, you don't have to let them like define you. So that's what I've been going through. And I think there's a big dichotomy in life, between these two sides of things, where you can have both and, right? Like, you can be living in a beautiful place and have like the house and the stuff and the job, and you can also be struggling, and there can also be real life things that happen, and and vice versa, right? So for me, hearing these stories from people are really powerful and just help me relate and connect to them in a different way. And I hope that this can provide some of that. And maybe it was entertaining in some ways. Maybe it was. So thank you for being here. I'd love to hear if this resonated with you. And I'm also going to like plug myself a bit as I'm trying to ramp up this podcast. But if you enjoyed this, I would love, love, love if you could leave a review for my podcast. If you're on YouTube, I'd love if you would subscribe, comment below, like this video. All of this just helps me to just know what you all like to see and resonate with, but B, also just help my channels get out there to more people, to help more people. And that overall is my goal with this. And I am just here for you. I hope that this resonates. And thank you so much if you're still here tuning in. I love you all. I'm so grateful for you all and what this whole podcast and YouTube is going to turn into. Okay,